Hey guys, it's Troy here, and I've got another Q&A video. You guys have asked a lot of questions over the past couple of months, and figured I probably ought to get to at least start answering them here on the YouTube channel. So let's get right into it. Dive right in. So I've got a one question, Abdiel Acosta. I hope I got your name right. Sorry, I didn't mean to butcher anything, but Troy, do you ever come down to Miami in South Florida for the Miami Pen Show? Do I go to Miami? Actually, yes. To the pen show? Not yet. My wife and I actually do from time to time like to get away. We do some travel, usually through the port of Miami, to go on cruises all over the Caribbean. And we've gone on a good many of them, and we go to Miami all the time. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite places and things to do, Havana Harry's restaurant. Love Havana Harry's. Good Cuban food down in Miami. Thought about going to the Miami Pen Show a few times just to get down to Miami. We like to go shopping at Bayside once in a while too, and do some sightseeing. So I could get all that in, as well as doing the Miami Pen Show sometime. Next question. Wondering if you ever miss the simplicity of one fountain pen, one ink. And that's asked by Stephen Singleman. Good question. In short, no, I really don't. Here's why. Number one, I enjoy getting new pens. I enjoy learning about them. The simplicity, yeah, sure, there's simplicity about it. You've got one pen and one ink. You don't have a whole lot of choice. But I enjoy learning, and that's this whole video series, everything I've done here has been because of my journey in learning about pens. I don't know it all. I don't claim to know it all. A matter of fact, a lot of you people correct me on a lot of things. And sometimes it's because I've picked up information that may be erroneous from somebody else. So, and sometimes maybe I just learned a few things differently. So, no, I don't really miss it, because I'm like a little kid at Christmas. Every time I get pen mail, it's like, ooh, a new pen to play with. And I just really, really enjoy that. But more than anything else, it's the knowledge that I've gotten along with it, the appreciation for the history, and that kind of thing. And then sharing it with other people. I enjoy doing that. It's kind of what I just flat out enjoy it. All right, how about taking all the prep work that you do for your church's men's group and start a virtual fellowship, asks Gary Gentile. I would love to pray and learn from you once a month or so in a live video setting. Gary, great question. I have actually done that in times past before you could ever do really a live set. Yahoo groups a long time ago. I set up one there and had some great fellowship with some people. Actually got a chance to meet with them in person as well. So I met people from Texas, Idaho, let's see, came in from England, and we fellowshipped one with another. And a lot of these people were home church folks who didn't really have a home fellowship other than with one another. And by the way, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I actually kind of tend to lean that way, even though personally my family and I do attend a fairly good size congregation here in North Carolina. I've thought about it also in just taking it very local and doing something besides at that church, doing something outside of the church in a men's group setting. And I was part of helping found a men's group years and years ago. Really enjoyed that setting and the fellowship. Do I want to do that online? You know, I've really thought about doing that. As far as being able to be reliable of having that time every single time, and here in the home with 3 kids in the home, 2 dogs, 1 cat, and a wife, I don't know how well that would work, but I've seriously thought about doing that. I mean, it's been a consideration over the years. Good question, thanks. Edgar Rains Jr. asks, thanks for the giveaway. I have a question. Have you ever had occasion to dismantle a Parker Vector nib? I've got 2 that are completely stopped up. I've never used any ink in it except Parker ink. Uneasy about pulling on the nib too much. Mostly use the pens with the calligraphy nibs. All right. No, I've never had to pull one out. And quite honestly, I've got some Parker Vectors. Matthew has some Parker Vectors. I've got some of his Vectors in a container to clean here in a little while. but I've never had to do any great work on them. Somewhere around here I even have a Vector roller ball that I can't find. I think somebody borrowed it and just failed to return it to my desk. But Parker Vector, I've got one right here for those who are unfamiliar with a Parker Vector, and I have never had to pull one apart. Can't say I ever have. I've been able to just use a bulb syringe, flush them out, and I also have, in case you've never had one before, strongly recommended ultrasonic cleaner, and they're fairly inexpensive, $20 or $30. I've actually seen some even cheaper than that. Don't know what kind of good quality it is, but the one that I've got, I paid under $30. I actually have a second one here in the house that I haven't even taken out of the box yet as a backup in case the first one bites the dust. But running one through an ultrasonic cleaner together with some good pen flush, you can't go wrong. In general, it usually does the job for me on just about anything. Cliff says, I would like to know how to properly replace a bladder on a lever filler pen. Gotta love a vintage pen and your videos. Keep them coming. Well, thanks, Cliff, for that. There is one already put up. I made that video a little while ago, within the past couple of months. It's a fairly comprehensive video. People I know who are really, really good at vintage pens and working on them have also seen the video and commented that you might be able to find a little more insight in that as well. And actually, he was fairly complimentary of that video, one guy in particular. So check it out, and I'll put a link to it below. Joanne asks, says, would love to learn how to fix a cracked body in a pen, or should it be tossed? Can the threads be fixed? I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen it. Some people have been able to do that. Me, not so much. For me, if I've got it cracked, I'm likely to just chuck it. That's just me, because I'm not skilled enough to do repairs. I do know some people. If you grand me a pens, I know that they have done some great work with that. If you want to look at Steph's work. But I wish I could tell you better, and I haven't seen your pen, so I really don't know. Stargazer, let's see. Question to you. You could only have one pen and ink combo to use for all eternity. Which pen and ink do you choose? Waterman 58. It would be the black chased hard rubber one that I've got with a manifold nib on it, and probably Waterman Intense Black. That would probably be my choice, just because it's one of my all-time favorite pens. I love how it writes, and if I have to have just one, that would probably be it. Let's see. Diploa, do you have any limits in regards to buying new pens? I tend to focus on sampling a lot of pens and only keep a few. Been in the hobby for 5 years. I've only around 20 pens. I probably had 100 and only keep a select few. Also, if you do sell pens from your collection, can you talk about it? All right. Do I have any limits? Yes. There are pens out there that to me are really, really cool, but they're novelty. Yeah, I'm not as much on the novelty sort of stuff. Montegrappa is a great example of some real novelty things. Also, Retro 51 has come out with some commemorative pens of, let's say, the moon launch from what, Apollo 13. Trying to remember, was it Apollo 11? I can't remember. I was in diapers at the time, but 1969, the moon landing. I looked at their pens, like, gee whiz, that's just like a something I've already got in my collection, just with some really cool graphics on it instead. It's the same pen, so no. There are some others that I look at. $1,500, $1,800, absolutely gorgeous pens. Some of my suppliers that I typically buy from have got some gorgeous pens that that's 2 or 3 mortgage payments. No, I gotta wait and not pull the trigger until I can save up some. There are pens out there I've seen $3,500, $4,000, $5,000, $24,000. Look at them; they're really, really cool, but I can't bring myself to do it because I got a house to pay for. I've got cars to pay for. I got a family. So yeah. Let's see. I sample a lot of pens too, and quite honestly, I usually keep them all. I usually don't sell them off. I think I sold one because I had just gotten it in pen mail, and one of my viewers said, "Hey, would you be interested in selling that?" I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, sure, why not? I'll get a couple of bucks out of it to help pay for the rest of what I purchased. So that I've done that. Speaking of selling pens, I have purchased a bunch of Esterbrook's that I am in the process of refurbishing, putting on a new sack, cleaning them up, polishing them up, getting them ready to sell. I only bought them exclusively for the concept of selling to you, my viewers. That's it, just you. I'm not going to advertise it anywhere else. I'm not trying to make a huge profit off from it. I'm basically going to try to put out a good pen at a good price for people who want to dive into some vintage pens and some that you've seen on this channel at a modest price and let you pick out your nib, which no one else lets you do. So that kind of thing. So let's see. But other than that, I don't really sell pens out of my collection. I keep them specifically for reference, for passing along to friends, family, keeping in my collection, quite honestly, even if they're low end. So, Philippe Tadger, Tadger, I guess. All right, he asks a big question. Would like to know what are your top 10 fountain pens and the reasons why. Philippe, not an easy question. I went through and I narrowed them down to 10. If I had more leeway, 12 or 15, I knew which ones, a couple others that I would throw into this list. And this list is subject to change at any time based upon what I end up with in my collection, but I'll play along. 10. Waterman Filius. These are in no particular order, by the way. Waterman Filius. Why? It was one of my first fountain pens. I have a very soft spot in my heart for it, and it's a workhorse, reliable pen. Love the Filius. Got a couple of them. While Eversharp Skyline. I just love the design of the Skyline. I love how it feels and how it performs. You're going to see a pattern here in some of my answers here. Waterman Karen. It is not the most expensive pen in the Waterman stable, but to me it is an excellent writing pen, and I love the design of it. Lamy 99. My favorite Lamy of all of them, and it wasn't until just recently. And the reason is because I took it out, I did just a little bit of work on that nib. You know, I'd put it up from before I even got good at doing nibs. And the more I've worked with nibs, the more I've smoothed them, the more I've worked on them for ink flow, the more confident that I get with it and the better I get at it. I decided I'm going to tackle my Lamy 99 one day. I just had a wild hair set. You know what? I want to see that Lamy 99. Wrote with it, said I can make it better, and I did. And it's turned out to be my favorite Lamy of any, bar none, and probably one of my top 10 pens. Waterman Edson. First time I ever saw Waterman Edson, I fell in love with it. And I went to go get one, and I got not only the Edson, but the Edson in Boucheron. Oh, I love it. Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Age. Wanted one for a long time, and got one a while back, and have loved it. It doesn't have as big an ink capacity as I would like, but I love it. Waterman 542, a vintage pen, nice basket weave filigree pattern over it. Flexible number 2 nib, feels great in the hand. Love old Watermans. Which brings me to Waterman 58, one of my top pens in my collection. Believe it or not, is not the Waterman 58, even though I love it, that was nicely restored in the Red Ripple, and I love Waterman Red Ripples. But even better was one I bought a lot cheaper that was a lot more beat up, a lot more worn, the Waterman 58 in black chased hard rubber, that the chasing is all really worn down, and it's got a manifold nib that is to die for. It is so buttery smooth. I absolutely love that nib. And that's what makes that Waterman 58 one of my top, like, 2. Porsche Designs P3100. I love how smooth that pen is. It's not the prettiest pen in the world, but I like it. It just barely squeaks into my top 10. It's probably the number 10 on my list. And Mont Blanc 146. I had the 149, very coveted pen. It turns out later on I got a 146. I like the 146 better. Great, reliable pen, good ink capacity, stylish, classic, gold and black. I love the 146. Just a great pen. Let's see. What is your favorite line of inks? I can give you two different inks that I absolutely love. The Waterman line. Very reliable, excellent inks, well behaved. Birmingham pens. Believe it or not, I think they just buy their inks from Germany and they rename them and sell them as their own. But most of the inks that I've used from them, great color, very well behaved, they clean up easily. I like Birmingham pens, and their inks are fairly well priced as well. And I just wish that because they've changed their focus a little bit, some of the inks I've been wanting to get here lately in bigger bottles, they haven't been in stock. So, hey Nick, if you're watching, hook me up, buddy. Allegheny Arsenal Gunpowder Black. It's out of stock. I want more. What kind of writing implement would an extraterrestrial life form use? Asks Frank Perez. Great question. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what kind of communications they use. Telepathy? Do they need to write it down? Are their memories much better than ours? Gee whiz, is everything electronic and digital? Do they use even digital? Is everything binary? I haven't got a clue. Do they use tentacles? Do they actually have hands? Do they have opposable thumbs? A lot of imagination and a lot of things to take in. So I really can't answer it. But if I was an alien, I'd ask for the Waterman 58 if I could find them. Any tips on how to take care of vintage Waterman pens? Yeah, take your time, learn about them. If you buy vintage ones, you're going to get them sometimes that are not cleaned, that need to be serviced. So learn how to do some basic maintenance and service on those. Learn how to take them apart, change sacks. Let's see, what else? Learn how to make slight nib adjustments. Maybe a little bit of nib tuning. Keep them in good condition, keep them clean. And once you get them clean, keep them dry. Put in some non-corrosive inks, anything that you can find that's not corrosive. Some people say, ooh, stay away from noodlers. Ooh, noodlers. So the noodlers inks that I've used have been great in just about every vintage pen that I use. I have found that there's some noodlers inks, though, no matter what kind of pen you put in, they're hard to clean. They're stubborn to clean, so I will never put them into a vintage pen because, especially a lever filler, lever up, lever down, lever up, lever down, lever up, lever down is hard enough when you get a well-behaving ink, much less the Bay State line. The Bay State blue, of course, being notorious, but then you've got the Concord grape, and then there's another one or two that are so stubborn. Cranberry. Trying to clean those are horrific because they're very highly saturated inks and they're really difficult to get clean. But then again, I've had the same thing with some diamines too. Monteverde inks, I haven't had such a big problem with them. Robert Oster, some of his inks are highly saturated and stubborn and hard to clean. All right. Hey, Troy, I recently picked up a Waterman Bic 298 pen, which is identical to the red and white one, which you show in your video. Cannot find a cartridge that fits the pen, nor can I find a cartridge converter. Can you please help? From John Bravo in Audubon, Pennsylvania. All right, Waterman Bic, which is one of these right here. This was a student pen. This one has nice white barrel. It's very similar to the CF and CC lines, and it's just a student version. Now, one of the things about these, you see, I actually need to clean this up. This is a Waterman CF cartridge. This is not the same as the Waterman cartridges of modern day. Waterman CFs, the CF cartridge, you can find them online. You're going to have to find them online, probably on eBay. I have some. Somebody else, just not too long ago, a couple days ago, asked me about these very things, and I said, hey, look, somebody asked if I'd be willing to sell one of these cartridges, and here's what I told them. No, I'm not willing to sell you one. I'll give you one, though. You just pay for postage. And it's going to cost about $4 continental United States for me to be able to ship it first class to put in the proper packaging so it doesn't get crushed. And what I do is I take that particular cartridge and I flush it out. And I will put ink into the cartridge and keep using those CF cartridges, even though I've got some more here in my collection. And there is a CF converter, an aerometric converter, that will work for those as well. The problem is those cost more than that pen. So do you want to pay $25 to get a converter to put into a $10, $15 pen? It's all about the economics and convenience. Ramon, great video, Troy. Nice to see the whole process. If you wanted to change the sack, because he was talking about the ink sack replacement video that I did, that you had just mounted in, let's say, a year or so, I guess with the heat, the shellac would loosen, let the sack slide out. Here's the thing. You can probably heat it up, but no, I mean, after just a year, that ink sac is not going to be all crusted and ossified. You should be able to just go boink and pull it right off. Should be all there is to it. So hopefully that answers your question, and you ought to be able to just clean it up a little bit on that nipple where that sac seats, and just clean that up and put another one on there. I have literally got one pen. It's an old Imperial, my very first vintage pen. I probably put 4 or 5 sacks on that pen, just getting learning how to use it, and B, yeah, I'm putting up the number 2 for B. Go figure. But B, because I still can't get the ink flow the way I want it, and I'm very frustrated that I can't get the ink flow how I want on that particular pen. So I probably put sacks on that 4 or 5 times, and I'll set it aside for a while, and then I'll go back to it, pull it off, and play with it some more. So it should be able to come off fairly easily if it hasn't been on there and is all calcified or ossified, or you know what I'm talking about. So shellac, really easy to work with, so I wouldn't worry too heavily about it. Let's see. Stargazer asks, would like your opinion on the new Waterman Emblem. If I have an opinion one way or the other. The Emblem is one that I don't have. It's a fairly new edition. The Emblem is an old Waterman vintage pen that they brought back and reintroduced as a modern pen, just using the same name. The Emblem is, first of all, it's not in wide distribution. I found some places that are distributing the pen online. They tend to run $68, $70 some dollars, up to $79. I've seen them US dollars. I was really thinking about buying one. As a matter of fact, there was one particular seller that was overseas in the Netherlands, and they were having a big sale for Black Friday. And I went ahead and put that pen in. In order to get free shipping, you had to reach a certain threshold, and so I started to put in some other pens, and then I just to get free shipping, I put in a Pelican that I was really interested in. I just said, what am I doing? That's an awful lot of money. So I abandoned that sale, and I was looking at some, just to save a couple of bucks, to order it from somebody locally. When I say local, I mean continental United States, for a $5 difference on the price that somebody overseas was selling it for. So I've been wanting to get it. I just haven't. My throat's getting a little dry, so hold on. Yes, I actually drink water out of a big old tankard like this a couple times a night. So I always keep some water or something to drink by my desk. Don't often have to use it though. But the Emblem, it is on my list. It is on my wish list, and I say that, and I hem and haw at buying one because at one pop, $68 or whatever, and then I turn around and I buy other pens that really strike my fancy. Been wanting one of those, and I may pay even more than that, or may pay even more than that for 4 or 5 pens together. So it's just one of the things I haven't made a big priority. I wouldn't mind having one. Rick K, who by the way was one of our winners for the last giveaway that I had. Here's an interesting talking point to consider. If you were choosing a fountain pen today to give Matthew for a high school graduation present, what pen would you choose? How about for a university graduation or graduate school? I would give him probably, because he's been asking for a Mont Blanc. He likes my Mont Blanc 146. I would probably buy him one of those for high school graduation. For college graduation, not really sure. Maybe maybe a Visconti. Yeah, possibly so. Maybe I'm thinking maybe a nice Visconti. And for university, let's say for graduate school, if he went on to graduate school, I might give him his own Waterman Edson Boucheron. Those are my first inclinations because I'm a Waterman guy, and he likes to take and play with my pens, and so the Homo sapiens he kind of likes from Visconti. He kind of likes my Edson. So I may give him one of those for his very own kind of thing. And on the Boucherons, you can see those prices kind of creep up in several $1,000s, depending upon from where you get them. All right, Flavio Jr. asks, one thing that catches my eye, the ugly sun at the end of your videos. It would be something about the state of North Carolina, your city, because it doesn't seem strange to me. Well, here's the scoop on that. I've actually explained it in writing, so maybe it's time for me to include it here for those of you who see the ugly sun at the end of my videos. That is an art project that I did in 7th or 8th grade, and I absolutely hated it. It was ugly. I was embarrassed by it. My mom absolutely loved it. She thought it was great. So she hung it on her wall in her office at work, and she said for years women generally saw it and thought it was adorable. It was great. Guys looked at it and thought, that's hideous looking. So my mom, to this day, still likes it. To this day, I still detest it. I think it's ugly. So it's kind of an inside joke that I even use that. And I don't think my mom watches my videos, quite honestly, because it's not of her interest. And not that she even watches anything on YouTube at all. So it's kind of an inside joke. It's for me poking at my mom a little bit, and on the flip side, love you mom kind of thing. So that's what that's all about. It's just a art project. Never loved it. Never liked it at all. And I just kind of use it kind of as a self-deprecating thing, and a way to, in case my mom ever watches. Love you, mom. Let's see. And the last question that I'm going to do for right now. I love vintage Esterbrook's. Recently discovered the Esterbrook Safari, which is this. And I did a video on that. Maybe I'll put a link to that. What kind of cartridge or ink system can I use on one of these? As most do not come with anything. That is correct, because I have had other Esterbrook's that should have come with an ink cartridge but did not. And they are not easy to come by. They take, sadly, a proprietary cartridge from Esterbrook that are no longer made by anybody. I have looked. I have tried. See, this is my Safari here, and you can tell that, yeah, it needs to be cleaned out. So this one actually was writing just recently, because I used it just recently, but it's running out of ink. And I have tried every ink cartridge that I have, every brand, major brand here. See, yeah, doggone it. I have tried Cross, I've tried Waterman's, I've tried Parker's, nothing works in it. So I had to eventually find one that came with an Esterbrook cartridge, and then just flush it out really well, fill it with whatever I want it to have. So sadly, there's your answer. Wish I had a better one for you. I hate proprietary ink cartridges for a reason. That's the reason. Because I just can't find them for vintage pens that had a proprietary system. If anybody out there has run across something that does work in them, comment below, please. But I've not been successful in finding anything that would work in that pen, because out of curiosity, like I said, I've got another one and I tried different systems and nothing would work. So, all right, well, there you go. I've probably spent enough time babbling on here. My question and answer video. You guys have been great in asking questions, both when solicited and just asking. So feel free to ask more. If you enjoy the question in the Q&A video, and if you get something out of it, I will be glad to share with you. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate all of you. I probably have a very one of the most loyal, understanding, and interactive audiences of a lot of the YouTube channels I've seen. So I'm greatly appreciative of you guys. Thanks.